Welcome to this explainer. We're diving headfirst into a massive financial bloodbath that is currently sweeping right through the automotive world. Today, we're unpacking exactly why 8 specific pickup trucks have seen their values just completely fall off a cliff over the last couple of years. If you happen to own one of these, you're unfortunately facing a historic collapse in value. And if you're in the market for a used truck, well, you're going to want to navigate this minefield very, very carefully.
So, to really understand the scale of this drop, we have to look at the root cause. How did we get here? Basically, automakers got incredibly eager, maybe a bit too eager actually, and they rushed experimental technology to the market. We're talking about unproven engines, untested electrical platforms, and seriously glitchy software all shoved out the door way before real-world testing could catch up. The result? They slapped these insane price tags on trucks that, frankly, never really made sense, and it led to an absolute historic loss in consumer value.
Just to give you an idea of how bad the financial damage is, let's talk about the top 3 worst depreciating trucks out there right now. The Ram 1500, down 47%. The F-150 Lightning, it fell 48%. And the Silverado EV absolutely tanked with a staggering 55% drop. That means some of these models are literally losing more than half of their original value in just 2 short years. It's wild.
Okay, let's organize these 8 massive losers into 4 core traps so we can really understand what's happening. We'll be going through niche toys and dead models, rush tech and broken promises, the EV truck illusion, and finally, the biggest loser.
Starting off with trap number 1, niche toys and dead models, or as I like to call it, the identity crisis.
Let's look at the Jeep Gladiator. It's always been this fun, open-air, off-road toy, right? But it recently saw a really painful 34% drop in value. And why? Well, largely because its parent company, Stellantis, kind of created the problem themselves. They flooded the market with way too much inventory, and to get those trucks off the lots, Jeep threw these massive $20,000 discounts on brand new models. If you already owned one, that instantly torched your trade-in value. I mean, think about it. Why would a buyer pay top dollar for a used Gladiator when a brand new one is sitting right there heavily discounted?
Then there's the Nissan Titan XD. This one suffered a 41% collapse because it was totally stuck in no man's land, a total identity crisis. On one hand, it was way too big and inefficient to be a comfortable daily driver, but on the other hand, the market quickly realized it just wasn't capable enough to compete with true heavy-duty workhorses, like say an F-250. Buyers never really bought into this whole middle child concept. And to make matters drastically worse, Nissan went ahead and made it official. They discontinued the Titan lineup entirely. It's dead. And in the vehicle world, literally nothing tanks resale value faster than a dead model. Suddenly, you have looming issues with finding parts and getting proper dealer support. The second buyers hear a truck is discontinued, demand just falls right off a cliff.
All right, moving on to trap number 2, rushed tech and broken promises. This is what happens when innovation fails.
The Ram 1500 is one of America's best-selling vehicles, but it still suffered a stunning 47% value collapse. See, Ram killed off their beloved trusted Hemi V8 and rushed out the new Hurricane twin-turbo inline-6. At the same time, they rolled out a brand-new electrical platform called Atlantis. The result? Severe reliability bugs. Buyers were immediately spooked by early oil leaks showing up under 1,500 miles, coolant valve failures, and these weird electrical nightmares like randomly flashing odometers and SOS system failures. You simply cannot rush both a new engine and a new electrical architecture at the exact same time without serious consequences.
And we definitely can't ignore the Tesla Cybertruck. It dropped 36% as its sales basically halved year over year once the initial novelty sort of wore off. Tesla exhausted its die-hard fan base, and regular truck buyers just weren't sold. The harsh reality of living with a stainless steel body quickly set in. It turned out to be a $100,000 magnet for fingerprints and road grime that's nearly impossible to claim. Add in some incredibly high insurance premiums, because body repairs are super expensive, and early reports of steering issues, and you've got a truck sliding down very fast on the used market.
That brings us to trap number 3, the EV truck illusion. These are heavy-hitting depreciators.
Let's talk about the GMC Sierra EV and the Hummer EV. Both dropped 36% in value, but it's the actual cash loss that really stings here. We're talking about bleeding massive amounts of money. $35,000 and $37,500 just completely vaporized in 2 years.
These early adopters are really getting punished due to software bugs in GM's Ultium platform, the crazy inefficiency of trying to move that much massive weight, and severe battery replacement anxiety. That anxiety alone is keeping used buyer offers incredibly low.
But the Ford F-150 Lightning is what really exposes the EV utility problem. Remember, this was supposed to be the future of work, but in reality, its towing range drops by an astonishing 50 to 60% the moment you pull a load near its capacity. A truck that is literally built to tow heavy equipment might only make it 80 to 100 miles down the road before it desperately needs to sit at a charger. Because of this severe penalty, the used market caught on quick. They realized these aren't actually work trucks at all. They basically redefined the EV work truck as just a commuter vehicle with a truck bed, and they heavily penalized their resale value because basic towing jobs suddenly became these complicated logistical puzzles revolving around charging stops. If you're a working truck owner, you view that as a liability, not a tool.
Which leads us directly into our fourth and final section, the biggest loser, the absolute ultimate value collapse.
The Chevrolet Silverado EV saw a historic 55% collapse. Owners lost over $45,500 in just 2 years on a truck that, honestly, sometimes pushed $100,000 brand new. To lose more than half of the vehicle's total value in roughly 24 months isn't just standard everyday depreciation, that is a historic financial wipeout. So how did it get this bad? Well, beyond the recall baggage of sharing that Ultium platform we talked about a minute ago, GM actually engineered their own downfall here. First, they completely removed Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Step 2, they forced buyers into using their own proprietary Google-based system. And step 3, this is the real kicker, they aggressively started charging monthly subscription fees just to access basic features on the screen.
Think about this from the perspective of a second-hand buyer. Imagine inheriting these $15 to $25 monthly subscription bills, like $15 just for basic app access or $25 for Super Cruise, all to use standard screen features on an already six-figure truck. It's an immediate deal breaker. You aren't just buying a truck at that point, you're inheriting a recurring monthly bill. And the used market absolutely rejected it.
Ultimately, across the board, the EV hype has completely evaporated. That's especially true for heavy trucks that lose their practicality the exact moment they face real-world working conditions, cold weather, or a heavily loaded trailer. Buyers are just straight up refusing to pay top dollar for compromised utility.
Which leaves us with this final thought regarding the massive cost of being an early adopter in the modern truck market. When you look at these collapsing numbers, are we actually paying for progress, or are we just funding the automaker's unproven experiment? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep these lessons in mind the next time you step onto a dealership lot.